Hey Grid, welcome to another episode of the Lockdown Podcast. As always, I'm your host, TFA. With the season a few weeks in and underway, we currently have 8 teams that all sit at 3-0. However, this week we're going to focus more on the players on the field than the records that these teams have. Let's jump right in with a segment I like to call the Rookie Roundup. When discussing this season's top rookies, it's hard to stray away from rookie running back Rashawn Lewis-Harris, who currently leads all rookie running backs with 323 yards and currently sits third in the league in rushing yards behind Adrian Peterson and Jeremy Hill. However, a recent 6-game suspension will likely take him out of all Rookie of the Year talks. Rookie middle linebacker Steven Ryan, drafted by the Giants at pick 30 in the first round of this year's draft, is making teams pay for passing on him. So far, he's been by far the most impactful defensive rookie drafted. He's already totaled 4 interceptions through just 3 games, which doesn't just lead all rookies, but it leads the entire league. He isn't a great tackler yet at this point in his career. He's totaled just 6 tackles and 1 sack up until this point. However, if his production really continues, especially as a coverage linebacker, there's no doubt he's going to be one of the top linebackers in the league for years to come. San Francisco linebacker Derek Wynn was one of the most talked about prospects in the draft, and after being drafted 3rd overall, he's quickly making a name for himself as a top linebacker in the league. He currently leads all rookies in solo tackles with 10, and has totaled 2 sacks so far, which is second among active rookies. These 10 solo tackles are also tied for the league lead, while with 2 sacks they're just 2 off the league leading pace. Finally, for rookies having great starts to their seasons and their careers, we head to Philadelphia, where Carson Wentz has a new favorite wide receiver in the form of tight end Lance Kirby. Kirby was drafted with the 26th pick in the first round of this past year's draft, and he's been about as consistent as they come, totaling over 75 yards in each of his first 3 starts. He has blazing fast speed and reminds some NFL scouts of a young Rob Gronkowski when it comes to his catching ability. He has yet to pull in his first touchdown, but with that great production he is showing so far, the touchdowns will definitely come. Now to look at the top bust so far this year when it comes to the rookies who haven't quite lived up to their expectations after Week 3. Rookie quarterback Riley Darius was drafted 4th overall by the New Orleans Saints, and coming out of Stanford he drew a lot of comparisons to Andrew Luck. So far on the year though, he looked like he can't quite grasp the defensive sets that he sees in the NFL, and he hasn't quite mastered that playbook, as he's thrown 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions in each of his first 3 games. His offensive line doesn't seem to be helping him much, as he's already been sacked 6 times on the season and has only gone over 200 yards in the air once. This could be one of the top busts in the draft, however it's definitely way too early to tell. We'll see how he comes on at the end of the season. Now let's look at who's hot and who's not. Wide receiver Corey Coleman of the Cleveland Browns is currently hot. After his first 2 games, he had already totaled over 300 yards receiving and was on quite an incredible receiving pace. Defensive tackle Aaron Donald, who has become one of the best defensive linemen in the league, is currently hot. He has already totaled 5 sacks on the season and currently leads the league in sacks, as he's tallied at least 1 in each of his first 3 games. Both halfbacks Adrian Peterson and Jeremy Hill are currently hot. Adrian Peterson currently leads the league in rushing while averaging 8.9 yards per carry through 3 weeks, and with Teddy Bridgewater struggling to complete even 50% of his passes, AP seems to be the only thing keeping this offense afloat. Jeremy Hill has adapted to life with a new team very well, as he's currently only 11 yards behind Adrian Peterson for the rushing league. Hill has scored 5 touchdowns for the Jets through 3 weeks and has been very consistent, having not turned the ball over yet. Now let's take a look at who's cold through 3 weeks in the league. Halfback C.J. Anderson of the Broncos is currently cold. He is the leading rusher for the Denver Broncos, but has currently only tallied 17 yards on the season and is averaging less than a yard per carry on the ground. The Broncos will be toast if they can't find some sort of rushing game. Aaron Rodgers of the Packers is currently ice cold, with a QBR of only 49, a completion percentage of 42%, and he's thrown 12 interceptions through 3 games. He's been a turnover machine, and with someone as good of accuracy as Aaron Rodgers has always had, his career could soon be coming to an end. Quarterback Dexter Scobie of the New England Patriots is currently in his sophomore season. After being selected with the 3rd overall pick in last year's draft, Scobie has hit a wall. He's only thrown 1 touchdown through 3 games. His touchdown to interception ratio is currently 1-8. That is a huge reason why the Patriots are sitting at 0-3. He's not at all living up to his expectations that he was given when he was drafted. Finally this week, I'm going to finish it off by unveiling the new NBL Top 5 Call-Up list. For those of you that are new to the grid, the Top 5 Call-Up list is a list you want to be on, as we are all here striving to get that call-up to the NBL. In order to get placed on the list, you must show that your gameplay is up to NBL standards, but in addition to the gameplay, you must show that the activity and the willingness to go the extra mile are also up to NBL standards. This means that staying active in the chat, as well as finding new and exciting ways to contribute to the grid, are the best ways that you can earn your spot on the NBL call-up list. So if you're someone trying to earn your way on the list, show it through your gameplay, your activity, and your contributions. The current top 5 call-up list as is followed. The number 1 spot right now goes to Atreyu, who continues to show that his activity and content are top of the line and is in line to be the first person called up to the NBL when a spot opens up. Number 2 currently on the call-up list is Eddie Mars. Ed has really stepped up over the past few weeks and month. He's taken over an admin role and has done a great job helping out whenever is needed. He's also active in the chats and shows through his gameplay that he's NBL ready. Number 3 on the call-up list is currently myself, TFA. Number 4 on the call-up list, and new to the list for the first time, is Mr. Chunky in the Indianapolis Colts. Chunky has been an active member of the league and has shown over time that win or lose, he is here to show that he has what it takes to make the NBL. He's really active on Twitter and he's always in the chat. So congratulations, Chunky, for making the list for the first time. Rounding out the top 5 on the call-up list is Hollywood and his Rams. Hollywood has done a great job since coming into the league, contributing with his Twitter handle. He's been active in the chat, and he's definitely shown that his gameplay so far is up to NBL standards. Congratulations, Hollywood. So to recap the NBL top 5 call-up list, we have number 1, Atreyu, number 2, Eddie Mars, number 3, TFA, number 4, Mr. Chunky, and number 5, Hollywood. Congrats to everybody that made the list. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Lockdown Podcast. Join us next week as we see how our rookies are continuing to progress, as well as how the standings are shaping up, and who becomes the clear contenders for this year's Super Bowl. As always, I'm your host, TFA.